At work, is it impossible and how can we make it happen? And the lead speaker is Marguerite Orane, CEO and founder and associates Canada. The panelists are Emily Smith, Director of Active Action France. Here our lead speaker, Marguerite Orane, will take over. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you very much. Good morning. Can we have the PowerPoint? So my name is Marguerite Orane, and my company is Free and Laughing Incorporated. I'm based in Canada, but I'm originally from that place that a lot of people do associate with joy, which is Jamaica, island in the Caribbean, where people are fun-loving and happy a lot of the time, not always. So I'm sharing with you today my thoughts around and my practice and some of the research around joy at work and how we can make it happen, and even why we should make it happen. So when I moved to Canada in 2009, I moved there, of course, like any immigrant, with very high hopes. I thought, oh wow, these people are just gonna love me and I'll have a job in no time. I actually did. I was teaching for a while at Ryerson University, but it was on a sessional basis, so it just wasn't enough. So I decided to job hunt. And in the job hunting, I was going for these interviews on Bay Street, which is the Toronto equivalent of Wall Street. And I was walking into these, what I call mausoleums. And I was just struck by the absence of joy. They were dark, people weren't smiling. And after a few months of that, I said, you know what? I cannot do this. Even if these people hire me, I will not be happy here. I need to go out and spread my message of joy at work, because I know it can happen. Can we have the next slide? So just a quick, what words do you associate with work? Some of the words. Emily? Challenges. What words do you use when you hear the word work? What comes to mind? What? No words, but I just heard a big sigh, like, and a drop in energy. Yes. Would you like to?
But I guess it also depends on what work you're doing. I'm a writer. I'm a freelance writer, so I.
Could you take the mic? Yes.
Yes. I'm a writer. I'm a freelance writer, so I
Yes.
basically enjoy what I do. So for most people, work might mean, but for me, it's like, yay, let's go for it.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
That is fabulous.
Which is why I'm here today.
Yes, yes, yes. And Edward, what words do you associate with work?
Well, I would agree with her. Most of the time I enjoy my work, but most people would say hard, challenging,
Yeah.
difficult. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's meant to be happy and fun.
Yeah, in general, I mean, when I ask these questions, when I do training and my talks, they're typically negative words that we associate with work. Next slide. So I was walking through the Miami airport in January 2012, and I saw this magazine on the bookshelf in the bookstores. And I went, wow, Harvard Business Review with a smiley face on the cover? I was just blown away. No, I did attend Harvard. I actually have an MBA from Harvard. And when I was there were no smiley faces. So this was a huge jump for me and signaled that this is something, this idea of joy, happiness at work is an idea whose time has come. And this is what I really found interesting, and I really urge you, if you really want to delve in more into joy at work, to look at this episode of the Harvard Business Review, because it said that happiness, there's a value proposition in terms of the bottom line, in terms of happiness, because happy employees have 31% higher productivity, 37% higher sales, and are 3 times more creative. So while we say, yeah, we need to be happy at work and have joy and so on, for a business, for an organization, there is actually a bottom line. And I just don't understand, with this kind of bottom line, why more people don't spend time on having joy at work. Yes, please.
I'm not sure if you're aware, but UAE has included a happiness minister.
Yes.
And the first organization to have a happiness factor being actually measured and assessed is an organization called DEWA, which is Dubai Electricity and Water Authority. And what we came to realize, like in the period of 6 months,
Yes.
they stood first. Like they got the gold category for DHDA as well as DQA, which are quality assessment awards. So I think it just kind of just shows what you're saying here.
Yes, that's amazing. I mean, that's the best news this morning. That's fabulous. So, when we're finished, I'd love to hear some more. If you can give me some resources, I think that would be amazing. So, go back one, please. So, just want to stop a bit and think about the difference between happiness and joy. Because the Harvard Business Review cover has happiness, and I'm talking about joy. Any thoughts here on the difference? Or are they the same?
I'm reading that, but
Yeah.
I am aware that happiness is a very external thing.
Yes.
And joy comes from
Is an internal. Yes. So happiness, a state of well-being, a pleasurable or satisfying experience, and it comes from the external. Whereas joy, and so happiness is dependent on outside circumstances. That's why people who are seeking happiness, the pursuit of happiness, go for things like money and cars and the perfect spouse and so on, the external trappings of life. Joy is a deep feeling of contentment, and it's internal. And that's why you'll see people, even in the most awful circumstances, having a sense of joy, even in circumstances that we think, oh, this is terrible. So I love this little quotation. Happiness is like rising bubbles, delightful and inevitably fleeting. Joy is the oxygen ever present. And so, yes, happiness, but I want to take the conversation even further into joy. So what does joy at work look like? So here is Thalia. Now, Thalia is a client of mine, and she has a company called Island Grill in Jamaica. It has, I think she's probably up to 20 outlets in Jamaica. And her Island Grill serves real Jamaican food fast. So jerk chicken. So I'm sure you've heard about jerk. And this is what Thalia's team looks like. Of course, you look at her and you know this is what her team is going to look like. So she gives away 5,000 teddy bears at Christmas. The photograph at the bottom is of her team members applauding her as she's finishing a 5K race. She is a player, she's involved. And the photo at the top with one of her team members feeding a little child. One of the things that they do is every store is involved in their community and gives back to the community based on what they want to do. Not what Thalia says, but what they want to do. So Island Grill is a real joy, and of course the food reflects that, right? And then there's Israel. This is what joy at work looks like. And this is Israel's office. Next one. Mount Kilimanjaro. So Israel is the CEO, Chief Experience Officer at Ventures, and he leads a team. Well, when I did Kilimanjaro last month, for my birthday, he led a team of 22 G fighters, as they call them, a crew, to take us up to the top of the mountain safely and bring us back down safely. And for me, Israel is a personification of joy at work, from knowledge, new knowledge, and skills. So how can organizations help employees to thrive? Because organizations can't actually make employees joyful. That comes from within. But you can have the environment for people to thrive. So first one is empowerment, and we love to speak about empowerment. What it really means is, are people able to make decisions? What's their authority to make decisions, or are they told to do everything? When people are able to make decisions, then they feel empowered and they feel a sense of thriving. Sharing information. A lot of people come to work and they just don't know what's going on. What's the larger purpose in life? So Israel, for example, on Tanzania, working with a Canadian company, but he can tell me that his job is about helping people to achieve their dreams. So he clearly has had information shared with him about the larger vision and values of the organization. I love this one. I just did a blog on this last week. Minimize incivility, the importance of just having basic manners and courtesy at work. I am amazed at the level of rudeness, basic rudeness and disrespect that we see in the workplace. And I think that we want to get to a place where we embed that into the corporate culture. And the fourth is to offer performance feedback. Tell people, how are you doing? What are you doing great? What do you appreciate? What could you be improving? So that people, remember, thriving, vitality, so that people start to get better and learn what they should be doing better. I thought we should just touch briefly on who does what. I think joy at work, thriving, happiness, whatever you may call it, really starts from the CEO. And the CEO needs to define what this culture of joy is going to be like, and then work on his or herself first. And most importantly, walk the talk. I mean, if you walk in looking like, oh, life is rough, there's nobody who's in your organization who is going to, oh, yeah, wow, wonderful day, beautiful people, well, except me maybe, because that's who I am. And I thought an interesting one is the human resources manager or whoever leads that. And I thought it was so interesting. I had this interesting thought. In most human resource managers are women. And so we have this huge role to play as women in terms of creating this organizational culture around joy. So again, work on self first, be proactive, really go to the CEO and say, hey, there is value in joy at work, in having a joyous workplace, and people being happy and thriving. It is a critical part of our strategy. And then how employees help themselves thrive at work. Take breaks so that you shift that creative, positive energy. Take some ownership over your own work so that see what opportunities there are within and your organization to create more meaningful work. Look for opportunities to innovate and learn, and really find people who have similar energy within the organization so that they energize you. And also recognize that when you're thriving, when you're having joy at work, when you're joyous at work, it's not just at work, it's your whole life. And so, next one. You want to identify, gratitude, identify the value that your current job brings to you. But detach emotionally from the job. Always remember, the job is not who you are. It is something that you do. It's one of the reasons people fall apart when they lose their job. It's because they thought that the job was them. And so they lose their job and they just lose their whole identity and sense of self. It is so empowering to go to work knowing that I love my job, but it's not me. It's not the totality of me. And take care of the other areas of your life. Exercise, all the things that we're supposed to do, right? Next one. So I just thought, I had this thought as well as I work in this area around joy. Well, the truth is, many of us are blessed, but the majority of people, perhaps in the world, do really hard, brutal, and exploitative work. And how can I be preaching joy when there are conditions like this? And I realized something, my lack of joy wouldn't help them. It is when I come from a place of joy that I'm now empowered and enabled to make a difference in society in terms of helping to lift the work that they're doing and have more humane conditions. So I'll close with this. Job to joy, one letter. And Maxim Gorky, a Russian writer, said, when work is a pleasure, life is joy. When work is a duty, life is slavery. Thank you very much, and I'll hand over to Emily.
Thanks a lot, Marguerite. That was really inspiring. I really like it. So you said a lot of things, so maybe I will more focus myself on the ethical value of bringing joy, because even though it brings more productivity, I think it's also an ethical value as a person, as a CEO, to bring joy at work. And so it leads to the question, so why do we create organization? Do we create organization and company only for having more money, or do we create companies because we want to share an experience with other people, we want to empower themselves, as you say. So I think for CEO, it's also the question that has to lead the creation of your organization. And so with our organization, we are working with unemployed people that, as you said, most of the time they think work is what they are. So we have to rethink who we are when we don't have a job. And so we can ask ourselves how the companies can help people to fulfill their dreams, because it's also a part of how do you bring joy. And most of the time companies have power or have money or have networks that can help people to achieve at least one or two of their life dreams. And also the ethical value would be for me that I think if people are happier, not happier, like more joyful, they will also be more likely to drive social change, because if you feel good about yourself, then you will be more likely to help each other, because you feel gratitude, as you said before. And so what I found out also, it's that to feel joy and happiness, it's not only about the organization that can help you, it's also how you can help yourself and how you can strengthen your soft skills. Because to feel joy, there's the 5 points you were talking about, but I think it's also something you can work on, the soft skills like optimism, gratitude, and for example, there's like a little game that you can do every day to strengthen your optimism. It's like to ask yourself one moment in the day, like to describe one positive moment you have during your day. So you think about it. Then you think about how did you feel during this positive moment. And then you think about what did you do to make this moment happen. And research show that if you do that every day, then you will build more optimism in your mind, and then it will shift the way you think about things. And you can also add the gratitude game, which is every week to think like who do you would like to thank for what positive moment you had in your week, and then show it to the other person, because we found that most conflict that happen at work are linked for lack of gratitude. So people want to do, do things, but they don't get it back, so they don't want to do it again, because they made a little effort for someone, but nothing happened after. So the gratitude is a really good point that you can train yourself to have more, and that spread joy in your circle. And I just write down also something about why we need to focus more on joy at work. It's also for organization, the generation Y, the young people don't want sorry, my English. I have to find my words. Generation-wise, don't want slavery work anymore. They are really driving this change and this shift in mentality. So older organization, especially, I think that explains also lots of frustration.
I'd just like to say thank you as well. It's nice to start the day off with a smile.
And for spreading the joy. And now we'll all go out more joyous in this first session of the morning to be joyful and be joy wherever we are. And by the end of the day, I'm sure there'll be a lot more joyful people in the world. So thank you all. And Emily, thank you for being here with me. And many, many thanks to the support team who have been absolutely amazing. Manoj, come here, please. I tell you, there is such an order in the universe. Look at Manoj's name, his surname, Happy. Thank you so very much. So enjoy your day. Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you.